It is Wednesday, March 4, 2020. I'm your LV, and these are the Cryptosphere's top stories for today. ConsenSys announces a major new partnership with Ernst & Young, forming a baseline protocol in collaboration with Microsoft. India's Supreme Court lifts the central bank's ban on dealing with crypto firms. And later, is Libra pivoting? Association will reportedly issue existing currency, peg tokens ahead of its Libra coin. In breaking news for the Sphere, ConsenSys has just scored another mainstream collaboration on the heels of its JP Morgan blockchain quorum unit merge of last month. In a press release, the blockchain software company announced it was partnering with Ernst & Young to form a baseline protocol initiative in collaboration with Microsoft. The protocol will enable confidential and complex collaboration between enterprises without leaving any sensitive data on-chain. Joe Lubin, the man and the brain behind ConsenSys, described what it can do for businesses. Here is what he said to BLOCKTV this week.
Companies are going to be able to engage in information sharing or deals, shared business processes. They're going to be able to sort of entangle their information in interesting ways using a technique called zero knowledge proofs. All of that is going to be able to operate on public Ethereum mainnet. And so 24 hours it gets announced, and I think it's going to be an inflection point in how enterprise starts to use the Ethereum technology. Enterprise has been using the exact same technology that we built that powers 10 billion queries per day in the public Ethereum ecosystem that has cleared and settled over $1 trillion in transactions. All of that is now being used in private permission contexts by enterprises, and now enterprises are coming to mainnet.
Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin was in Paris attending the Ethereum Community Conference yesterday. He spoke about the future of the network and the roadmap for Ethereum 2. BLOCKTV's contributor Ethan Pierce had a chance to sit down with him and ask about the future of money as the world prepares for the rollout of CBDCs and major corporate tokens. Here's what he had to say.
Whether blockchains exist or not, I think the trends toward more and more digitization is inevitable. There's like a bunch of reasons why people want to move to digital money of different forms, and there's obviously huge advantages to that, but the main challenge with central bank and even corporate currencies is basically the kind of concentration of power, the concentration of data collection, that you become dependent on potentially central intermediaries that can exert a very fine-grained degree of control over who has the ability to participate in these systems and who can't. Centralized digital currencies without privacy are like a huge step back from even what we have today with in both cash and even kind of intermediated commercial money, where at least you have some kind of intermediary like a bank or an institution that kind of has some incentive to protect your data on your behalf. Like they reveal some things, but they're not revealing everything. Whereas if you have a fully centralized thing with zero privacy, it goes way down. But if you have something that has reasonable cryptographic privacy protections, then potentially things could be even better than today. So I think we'll see all three kinds of systems, and all three kinds of systems will compete with each other, and I think they'll actually kind of push each other to do better.
In an extraordinary attempt to curb the coronavirus's economic fallout, the Federal Reserve in the United States slashed interest rates yesterday as policymakers approved their biggest one-time and first emergency rate move since the 2008 financial crisis. Stocks in the United States rallied for about 15 minutes after the rate cut, but worries about the Fed's further action in the face of the economic impact of the virus quickly reversed that trend. Bitcoin itself was down 1.3% following the Fed's announcement and is still hovering in and around the $8,800 mark, as it has been for the past 2 days. Now, within the past week, Bitcoin has moved from a high of $9,372 to a 7-day low of $8,496, with crypto whales moving large amounts of it. In the last 24 hours alone, Bitcoin holders completed transfers totaling $259 million. The saga that is the Steem-Tron takeover continues. Now, the Sphere was buzzing earlier this week when news broke that Tron utilized the resources of top exchanges like Webby, Binance, and Poloniex to reverse a soft fork that a centralized blogging platform enacted to reduce Tron's ability to sway governance decisions. But after a harsh reaction from everyone in the Sphere to the hostile takeover, so to speak, including prominent voices such as Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin, Huobi and Binance said they were withdrawing their support for Tron's move. Later, the community re-elected enough of its members to prevent Sun from restoring exchanges' control over their Steem tokens. We had a chance to interview Bobby Ong, the co-founder of crypto data firm CoinGecko, who weighed in on the unfolding drama.
So we don't know what was the exact story that transpired between Justin and Binance, Huobi, and Poloniex. Poloniex, we know for sure is owned by Justin Sun, so that's some sort of backroom dealing and that's on. But Binance and Huobi, we have no idea if Justin Sun told his plans to Binance and Huobi, or he just told them that he needs to upgrade the nodes because his funds were being stolen. So well, one thing for sure, that community was not happy about this thing, because obviously Steem used to have 20 decentralized delegates, and so it's a decentralized blockchain. But when 20 of the witnesses are now controlled by Justin Sun himself, then it essentially becomes a centralized blockchain already, and it defeats the purpose. And people are not happy with this takeover, and Binance and Huobi seeing the backlash of the community.
Cryptocurrency exchanges scored a victory in India after the nation's Supreme Court endorsed their stand against curbs put in place by the central bank that effectively outlawed virtual currencies in Asia's third largest economy. Now, the court agreed with petitions by cryptocurrency exchanges, startups, and industry bodies that challenged the Reserve Bank of India's April 2018 decision to ban banks from offering any services to support digital currencies. The ruling presents an opportunity for virtual currency investors and businesses in India to combat government rules and potentially raises hopes for projects such as Facebook's Libra. We had a chance to speak with Sandeep Nalwal, co-founder and COO of Matic Network. This is what he had to say.
I believe that this is a big morale booster for the entire industry, for the entrepreneurs in the space and everything. I personally knew quite a few people who wanted to do something in the space, but because there was uncertainty and then kind of this media hype around the same, that something maybe in the gray domain here, this strong ruling from the Supreme Court of India provides the faith in the Indian democracy and the Indian judiciary system, that governments cannot go and outright ban things and everything. And although I still believe that Indian government should take necessary steps to protect the retail from getting their fingers burnt into this largely immature industry still. So that's one part, but apart from that, it's a very good thing for all the entrepreneurs and the developers around the space who were sitting on the sidelines, and maybe now they will be promoted to take the leap of faith and start on their own and do something for their own startups and everything.
Speaking of Libra, Facebook may not need the Indian ruling, as it is supposedly pivoting on the nature of the cryptocurrency it proposed last summer. In a report published by The Information, a tech news site, the social media giant will develop several separate digital tokens, each pegged to a different government-issued currency, such as dollars and euros. With more on this developing story, I'm joined in studio by BLOCKTV's senior correspondent, Asher Westrup-Evans. Asher, what do we know? When did this happen? And is it a surprise?
So, Libra, let's think about what it was. Is it a multi-backed reserve currency that will conflate and complete, allow all people from all different walks of life in a global market to gather together in a central currency? No, it's not. No, it's a series of single pegged currencies backed, sort of a stable coin, much like exists already in the market, but obviously with Facebook and others' massive outreach. Is it going to be launched in June of this year? No. Now pushed back to October is the current plan. But will the Calibra wallet still be the central part? You bet your bottom dollar, Yale. It certainly will. Calibra is still the key marketing and I suppose pin arm of Facebook in all this. Will still be there. They'll still be the central access point for most users, obviously allowing Facebook to retain their element of control there. But that being said, look, is this really a surprise? No, there's been hints at this direction for a long time. Hearing from Libra spokesperson Dante Disparte, he's been hinting that this was going to happen for a while. Now we have this sort of more formal announcement, more formal information coming out. Interesting to hear the details of how they've been plugging ahead behind the scenes, but particularly given as well that Facebook, the whole Libra project, has seen new members come on board recently with Tagomi and Shopify, the two new members taking on board the project.
After everybody left.
Exactly. After the 8 or so departures, we had major firms leaving the project. it's unsurprising to see that they are really ramping up. This has been a bit of a steady process, but obviously they're trying to work a little more under the radar, a little quieter, a little less of a splash than they originally put out back in 2019 when they first announced this project.
Question, and again, of course, we're theorizing. It sounds to me, though, obviously Libra not dead, pivoting. Sounds like they want to be the underlying technology for CBDCs, in a way.
Potentially so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the US, and that's the other question as well. I mean, they stated in this that they're hitting a bunch of different markets at different times, that they will work with regulators. This is not going to be the global solution currency that they initially pitched, but rather a series of different currencies released strategically in different jurisdictions as they're allowed to do by regulators. Now, that's not surprising because they've always said they wanted to work with regulators, but it does move away from the vision that was put out originally, again, of banking the unbanked, you know. But maybe if they get in early enough, their thinking is just simply they'll be early enough, they have the credibility of the various institutions that represent them. Maybe Libra can still be the key to a global expanding digital asset network.
Time will tell. Asha Westrup Evans, thank you for this report.
Pleasure.
The Topps Company, the American trading card maker that has worked with an array of sports leagues and licensed brands since 1938, has announced plans to issue blockchain-enabled digital cards based on the Garbage Pail Kids. BLOCKTV's Zachy Hennessy, a longtime Garbage Pail fan, has the story.
That's absolutely
What?
correct.
Tell.
Yeah. So Topps, they're the company known for perhaps most notably of their baseball card line, which has been going since the 1930s. So what they've done is they've partnered with WAX, that's the World Assets Exchange, and a Worldwide Asset Exchange, rather.
Not to be confused.
And what they're doing is they're essentially blockchainizing their trading card system. They're creating a platform where users can buy, sell, and trade cards. Digital cards, tokens, and this time it's going to be super non-fungible and extra cool. That's kind of the pitch that they're going with. And yes, the platform, who they're starting with here is indeed the Garbage Pail Kids, those yucky, sticky, icky things with all the goo and the zits and whatnot. And
Asha was a big fan.
yeah, folks are really excited about this thing. The platform will apparently, according to their site, be going live in March. And it'll start with the Garbage Pail Kids, but it may eventually move on to the MLB, the WWE, and Star Wars, as these are all properties that Topps is in charge of making cards for. It's worth noting that this isn't the first time that sports assets have been tokenized in this way, with Dapper Labs collaborating with NBA, making NBA Top Shot, and most recently UFC. It's certainly a very exciting time to be a card collector in this age of blockchain.
Definitely so. Thank you from one Garbage Pail fan to another. And it's time for Troll of the Day. John McAfee has long been a prominent, if crazy, voice in the sphere, and one of his more outlandish schemes is his bid for the U.S. presidency. Well, it seems as though there has been a major development in this campaign. Here to elaborate is, once again, Zachy Hennessy.
Hiya, Al. And he gave us a quick video to announce what's going on. Let's take a peek at that first with some little context.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I regret to announce that I am terminating my campaign for President of the U.S. effective immediately. I have instead decided to run for the second most powerful office in America, Vice President. I have instructed my campaign manager, Rob Loja, to contact Vermin Supreme's campaign manager, Desiree, and see if they cannot negotiate a situation where I run as Vermin's vice presidential pick. I mean, listen to this. Vice presidents are the second most powerful person in America, and nobody pays any attention to them. A president gets head in the Oval Office, and suddenly there's 6 months of chaos. Well, does anyone care if the vice president gets head? No. No one's watching him, and because no one's watching him, he's probably getting 10 times as much. I hope, Vermin, you will accept my humble offer and we can move on with this libertarian campaign, and thank you for listening.
That's right. Unlike my father before me, John McAfee is pulling out. I have to say, Vermin Supreme does seem like the perfect pick for him. There's something about the two that just screams the same energy. It's truly a match made in hell.
You had me at unlike my father before me. But that was Around the Block for today. Thank you for watching. For more blockchain tech and cryptocurrency news, visit us at blocktv.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.